My wife's affair partner came to my house and threatened me. I said nothing, just walked inside. 30 minutes later, cops were at his door and he was begging me for mercy. You ever have a moment where everything slows down? That was mine. Standing on my porch, face to face with a man my wife had been cheating with, while he screamed threats at me like he owned my life. He puffed his chest, cursed me out, and told me to stay away from my own wife. I didn't respond. No shouting match. No fists. I just turned around and walked into my house. Calm, quiet, and cold. Because I already knew something he didn't. 30 minutes later, blue and red lights lit up his street, and he was being dragged out of his front door, begging. Not because I was weak, but because I played smarter. Because when you weaponize patience, karma doesn't knock, it kicks down the door. Long before her affair partner ever showed up at my doorstep, there was a gnawing feeling I couldn't shake. It wasn't one thing. It was 1,000 little things. The sudden late nights. The turned-over phone when she'd get a message. The laughter that didn't reach her eyes when I asked how her day went. Most people say trust is broken in an instant, but in my case, it died slowly. Bit by bit, excuse after excuse. She'd brush it off, of course. You're just paranoid, she'd say, or, stop acting insecure. But the truth was, my instincts weren't wrong. I could feel the space between us growing wider each day, like we were sharing a house but not a life. I started noticing details. New perfume she'd never worn, unfamiliar names she'd accidentally say in passing, random receipts she couldn't explain. Every time I questioned it, she deflected, gaslit, or flipped it back on me. I didn't confront her. Not right away. I watched. Waited. Took notes in silence. Because while she was playing a messy game, I was slowly putting the pieces together. And when you watch long enough, even the best liars slip. The suspicion didn't die because it wasn't just a feeling anymore. It was evidence waiting to be confirmed. I caught them by accident. That's the part that still burns. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't even suspicious that night. I had left my phone at home and used hers to make a quick call. That's when a message popped up. Not just any message, but a live notification from a messaging app one didn't even know she used. It was from someone saved as Danny Jim. The message? I miss last night already. You taste like heaven. My stomach dropped. I clicked. And there it was, a thread of messages that didn't just confirm the affair. They painted it in full, painful color. Photos. Plans. Even the mocking way they joked about me. He's clueless, one read. Bet he'd thank me if he knew how relaxed you are after we meet. I didn't breathe for a full minute. My hands shook. My chest ached. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I screen-recorded everything, sent it to my own email, and set the phone back exactly where it was. When she walked in, smiling and asking what I wanted for dinner, I smiled too. Because now I knew. Not just about the affair, but exactly what kind of person I was married to. The strange part? I had met him before. Multiple times. We'd even shaken hands. Back then, I thought he was just a guy from her gym. She mentioned him casually, Danny helped me with form today, or Danny thinks I should try heavier weights. I didn't think anything of it. Why would I? I trusted her. And he acted like I didn't even register on his radar, polite enough, but distant. Like I was just background noise. But after reading those messages, I looked at every past interaction differently. I remembered the smirk he gave me once when I picked her up. The way he said, "You're a lucky man," like it was an inside joke. I remembered her once slipping away during a dinner we hosted, claiming she had to drop off a bag at the gym. Now I realized, she wasn't dropping anything off. She was dropping her mask. And I played along. I kept pretending I was clueless. The next time we crossed paths, I greeted him like normal. Even asked how his workouts were going. He smiled, cocky and casual. He didn't know I knew. Not yet. But every word he said, every smug nod, made it easier for me to stay calm. Because the game had already changed. And soon, I was going to make sure he knew it too. He showed up like he owned the place, shoulders back, chin up, the kind of arrogant swagger that only comes from someone who thinks he's already won. I was home alone when I heard the knock, and something in me just knew. I opened the door, and there he was, him. The man who'd been sneaking around with my wife behind my back. And now, he had the nerve to come to my house, to my doorstep. He didn't waste time. No hello, no hesitation. He stepped forward and said, "You're going to stay out of the way now." She chose me. Just like that. His voice was low, firm, like he was warning me, like I was a problem he needed to handle. I could see it in his eyes. He didn't just want her, he wanted me to suffer too. He wanted control. Power. But what he didn't realize was, by standing on my porch and threatening me in broad daylight, he handed me everything I needed. I didn't flinch. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just nodded once, turned around, and walked back inside. I shut the door gently. No words. Just silence. What he didn't know was, every single word he just said was caught on camera. My home security system. Motion-triggered, with audio. I walked straight to my laptop, downloaded the footage, and made one call. Not to him. Not to her. To the police. Within 30 minutes, Karma was knocking at his door. Long before he ever stood on my porch puffing his chest, I had already made the most important call of all, to my lawyer. Not in anger, not in panic, but in preparation. See, the moment I confirmed my wife was having an affair, I stopped being emotional and started being strategic. I gathered everything: screenshots, voice memos, suspicious transactions, timestamps. But most importantly, I installed the final layer of security. Audio-enabled video surveillance pointed right at my front door. Because I knew it was only a matter of time before someone crossed a line. And when he did, I wanted proof that no one could deny. So when I walked back inside after he threatened me, I didn't call anyone new. I just followed through. My lawyer had already advised me on what to do if the affair partner ever got bold. I uploaded the footage, filed a police report online with the exact time and audio, and attached the clip. The rest was automatic. The police called me within 10 minutes to confirm the threat and dispatch officers. What he thought was a scare tactic turned into a criminal complaint. Harassment. Trespassing. Attempted intimidation. All with crystal-clear evidence. He thought he was playing chess with an unarmed man. What he didn't know was, I'd already checkmated him before he touched the board. While he was probably pacing, thinking he had intimidated me into silence, I was sitting calmly in my kitchen, sipping coffee like it was just another peaceful morning. The weight of his threats didn't press on me, because I already knew what was coming. I'd spent so long in emotional chaos from the betrayal that by the time the confrontation happened, I wasn't reacting anymore. I was executing a plan. Roughly 30 minutes after he left my doorstep, the universe spun a new scene. Except this time, the knock wasn't on my door. It was on his. 2 squad cars pulled up outside his apartment, blue lights flashing like Karma's neon signature. Neighbors peeked out from blinds. A few even stepped onto balconies. And there he was, caught completely off guard in nothing but sweatpants and arrogance, trying to talk his way out of what the officers already had hard evidence for. The look on his face, I imagine, went from cocky to confused to terrified in seconds. He hadn't just underestimated me, he'd underestimated how prepared I was. The officers showed him the footage. The audio. The timestamps. There was no misunderstanding to hide behind. This wasn't a he said, situation, this was recorded truth. While he pleaded his case, I took another sip. Come, Phil. Because I didn't need revenge to be loud. I just needed it to be legal. The moment she found out what had happened, that her affair partner had been arrested for showing up at my house and threatening me, her mask shattered. Gone was the smug confidence she used to wear like perfume. Instead, my phone lit up with a barrage of texts. First, what happened? Then, please don't press charges. And finally, we need to talk. Need. Now she wanted to talk? She called 3 times in a row. I didn't answer. When she showed up at my door, eyes puffy, voice trembling, I opened it just enough to see the panic on her face. "He didn't mean it," she pleaded. "He was just emotional. I didn't know he'd go that far." The desperation in her voice wasn't just about him. It was about her world crumbling, and me calmly holding the wrecking ball. She asked if I could retract the report, begged me to meet her halfway, said, "We can fix this." But I wasn't interested in fixing anything. I was just watching her realize, in real time, that choices have consequences. She had gambled everything: loyalty, marriage, respect, for someone who couldn't even keep it together. And now, she was watching it all burn while I stood at a distance, no longer trying to save anything. The moment the cuffs clicked around his wrists, most people would have thought that was the end, the climax of some dramatic betrayal story. But for me, it was just the beginning. His arrest wasn't revenge. It was a door opening to clarity, to rebuilding, to reclaiming everything that had quietly been stripped from me during that hollow marriage. The police report alone sparked a wave of consequences. His employer found out, and guess what? He worked in finance. A single assault charge, even a threat on record, was enough to get him suspended. Word spread fast. The man who swaggered up to my door thinking he was the alpha? Now he was just a mugshot in a file cabinet, waiting for a court date. His reputation? Fractured. His confidence? Gone. And his relationship with her? Cracking at the seams. But I wasn't watching it for entertainment. I had no interest in their chaos. I didn't want apologies, just distance. Meanwhile, I filed for divorce. Clean, cold, no drama. She begged, of course. Said we could start over. But I didn't respond to tears anymore. I responded to actions. And hers had already written the ending. As their fantasy imploded, I was just getting started on something better. A life without lies, without threats, without faking smiles. Peace wasn't just the prize, it was the foundation of everything that came next. There's a strange kind of silence that comes after the storm, not the empty kind, but the peaceful one. That's what life felt like in the weeks after everything unraveled. I had gone from betrayed, humiliated, and quietly suffering, to free. And not just free in the legal or emotional sense, but free in my soul. The weight I had carried, the second-guessing, the constant knots in my stomach, gone. I moved out of the house we shared, leaving behind not just furniture and memories, but the version of me who tolerated less than he deserved. I found a small apartment. Nothing flashy, just mine. I changed my number, blocked her from everything, and handed over the final divorce papers through my attorney. Her name became background noise, a chapter one didn't reread. And in that space, I rebuilt. I started reconnecting with friends I had distanced myself from. I went back to the gym, got into therapy, even took up photography, something I had put on pause for her needs. Slowly, I realized, I wasn't just healing. I was transforming. The betrayal wasn't the end of me. It was the thing that cleared the path back to me. And every day that passed without her voice, without his shadow, without that toxic weight on my chest, I felt more alive than I had in years. I stayed silent, but the law spoke for me. That final moment, standing on my front porch with the chaos behind me, was quieter than I imagined. No more shouting. No more betrayal echoing through my home. Just peace. She tried to talk, eyes red, voice trembling, but I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The law had already spoken for me with a warrant, with handcuffs, with the truth finally being documented instead of denied. As her affair partner was taken away, all the threats, smug smirks, and secret meetings meant nothing. His bravado had vanished, replaced by fear. And her illusion of control shattered the moment reality kicked in. I didn't have to fight back. I didn't need revenge dressed in rage. I let justice do what silence never could. That day, I didn't just close a chapter. I closed the entire book. I rebuilt the locks. I reset my life. And most importantly, I reclaimed my dignity without ever lowering myself to their level. Some think strength is in screaming. But me. I found mine in restraint. Because when you've been lied to, threatened, and hurt, the sweetest justice is watching those who wronged you fall under the weight of their own choices, while you rise, untouched, in the silence they never saw coming.